Hi, this is Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington, and I thought I might do a follow-up video to the binding repair video that I put up last week, and just show you guys how it turned out. So this went pretty well. This is the side, obviously, and it went pretty nicely. There was a little bit of finish tear out, and we did my best to touch that up. On the top, it came out a little cleaner. But this is a pretty good repair in terms of looks and in terms of function. The binding went down very well after it was stretched and clamped down nice and firm, and basically went where it needed to go, which is nice and predictable and good. I suspect, though it's going to be a while before these videos actually go up, that I'm going to end up with some questions about which glue I use to repair the binding and how I clamp it. This is my kind of go-to lately for doing binding repair, and this stuff works pretty well. I've also in the past used super glue. I've used yellow wood glue. I've used hide glue. I've used epoxies. There's all kinds of options when it comes to gluing binding. Binding isn't a structural repair, and it's gluing plastic to wood, and so there's lots of different options available. This is one of the few cases in which I would say, maybe don't think too heavily about it. The only glues that I would definitely recommend against using would be the polyurethane type glues like Gorilla Glue. I might avoid some of the epoxies that are designed for like metal and concrete and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's just a matter of like what you want to deal with cleanup wise. This stuff here is kind of a ketone based something, but while it's wet, you can still work with it with naphtha, which is kind of what I like about it. You can put this down and kind of wipe the excess off while you're working with it, and it is a little rubbery to sand is my only complaint about it. But the rubberiness is actually kind of nice when it comes to gluing plastic to wood, because that means that you have a lot of creep, and that means that it's going to move a little bit with the plastic, which is nice, because if you have a stiff joint with plastic and wood, what'll tend to happen is bad things. So kind of getting to talking about how I clamp. Typically what I'll do is I'll take some tape like this, and I'll cut it into little strips by thirds, and I will kind of push the binding down and tape, push down, tape, push down, tape, push down, tape, push down, tape, and just keep on kind of going with that and working with the squeeze out as I go, especially if it's something like this. If it's something like yellow wood glue that you're using, you can worry about the squeeze out a little less. It's a good idea to get the bulk of it while it's going on there, but the rest will come up with a little bit of water-based guitar polish after the repair is done, if it's just like a little film or something. So that's one of the advantages of using maybe the yellow wood glue or the hide glue, is that they clean up a little bit easier. And I've been thinking about maybe going back to the hide glue for this repair. So we'll see how that goes in the future. I go kind of back and forth with some things sometimes, and it sometimes depends on the application. The yellow wood glue and the hide glue I tend to use more on bindings that are either super old, or bindings that are wood of some kind. So that's my 2 cents on that. But yeah, I thought I would show you all how that repair turned out, and just kind of give you the little lowdown on what kind of glue is used and how I clamped that. I would recommend leaving those tape clamp jobs up for a day at least, while they're working, and I would be very careful to make sure that the tape is actually holding the binding down where you want it. Make sure, that's why when I do that I push down and then put the tape, because I want to make sure that the binding is actually seating, because if you just rely on the tape to kind of hold that down and push the binding into where it's supposed to be, it's not very precise, and usually that ends up doing a much worse job. So just keep that in mind as well if you're going to attempt this. And again, like I said in the first video, I would really only attempt this kind of repair if you're pretty confident with your tools, because there's a lot of risk for a lot of things to go wrong. And, you know, I don't want you guys destroying your guitars. Anyway, this has been Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington. I have lots more videos like this on my channel, so check those out, link them around to friends. That helps me out. If you have any questions, like, you know, you need assistance on a project or something like that, I prefer to get those kinds of questions through Ko-Fi. If you message me through there, I will definitely get back to you as quick as possible. I'm even willing to sit with people on the phone. There's also a Patreon down there, and if you found this video particularly helpful and you want to kick me a few bucks for it, you know, that definitely helps me out, and you can do that on either of those platforms. There's also a link to my Reverb page in the description that has some cool guitars that I have up for sale, and sometimes some guitar parts. And I also have a link to my website down there that has my price listing, my contact info, and a page on caring for stringed instruments. And if you're here watching this video, I'll bet you have a few stringed instruments that you care for. Anyway, this has been Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington. Thank you for watching.